Right, so the co-main event, though, Chandler and Hooker. I'll let you lead off on this one. What did you make of the fight itself?
Well, firstly, I have to correct you with your pronunciation of Chandler, obviously, because being a good Northern boy, we say Chandler, but I'll let you off. But yeah, I really enjoyed it. It's again, thoughts before the fight. I had a real difficulty in thinking how this was going to go, but I suspected Hooker.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the observations I noted leading into the fight as well was how, it sounds awful, I don't mean this as an insult, but how rudimentary Chandler looked on the pads with Henry Hooft when compared with someone like Poirier or Hooker with the slick striking. It just looks absolutely artful when they do it, but Chandler just looked very mechanical.
Was this on
because he's a wrestler? Embedded and on the pay-per-view itself, when they're saying next up is Michael Chandler against Hooker.
Okay. I didn't notice
so I was just watching, and they did it in the hotel room on Embedded as well. Or as I call it, UFC Thorn supplements. But you looked at it, so I thought, okay, so if it's going to be contested on the feet, surely Chandler is going to be schooled by the slick city kickboxing methods of Dan Hooker. But then when it started, I was it was quite reminiscent of Khabib against Gaethje first round, I thought, in just this relentless pressure and stalking him and chasing him around the octagon. And because like you said before, you don't maybe have the technical prowess to speak to X. The same to me. It must be like a two-way dance when you look at these things and think, why is he allowing himself to be pressured that way? It can't all be just the pressure that Michael Chandler is putting on him, but it looked like that, didn't it? He was just being chased around the ring, and a few body blows. The front kick that set him against the edge of the cage was marvelous, and then before we knew it, it was all over. What were your thoughts?
Quite similar to yours, to be honest. One thing that I didn't quite understand, and again, like you said, I can't say this is how he could have done this, but he was just circling around the octagon, and Chandler was chasing him around, and every now and again he would throw a low kick. And I do understand the thought process that he didn't want to overcommit to those kicks because that could be an entry for Chandler to take him down, which I understand. But it just felt like there was nothing coming from Dan Hooker. So he's trying to move to keep, a safe distance away from the wrestler, so the wrestler can't come in close and take him down. But you can't just move. You have to hit the man with something to give him something to think about. Like you say, there needs to be something coming the other way. And I don't know whether he just kind of froze in the moment. I don't know whether there's any kind of stock to be put in the fact that the head coach, whose name I forget, didn't travel out because he's
Eugene Berriman.
That's it. Yeah, he's in camp with Izzy at the moment, so he wasn't there with him. So maybe that's a calming influence, not just on fight night, but throughout the week and all the processes you go through getting ready for fight night. I honestly don't know. I felt from Dan Hooker's demeanor coming into the fight that he was supremely confident, and he had relaxed, and the way he was talking during the press conference, he actually impressed me the most out of all of the people talking during the pre-fight press conference. And I just felt like he had a game plan in mind, and he had the confidence, and he was relaxed enough to be able to fight to that game plan. And I'd love to know, when we do get a chance to hear from him or someone from that team, what the game plan was, because it was very difficult for me to see what they were trying to achieve there personally. And from Chandler's point of view, and one of the things that I said going into the fight is I just don't know how good Chandler is, because we can see him do things that we can see him display skills that look transferable. That, he's explosive, he's powerful, he can wrestle, but it's doing that against the level of opposition he's been doing that against in Bellator. We don't know whether he'll be able to do that in the UFC with the level of competition he's going to be fighting. And clearly he could do it against Dan Hooker, because that was it, an overhand right he landed on the chin of Dan Hooker that knocked him down.
Left, I think it was actually.
The left. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, he did the right to the body and the left was coming straight behind it.
But that shot, he threatened with that shot a couple of times, and he missed wildly a couple of times. He hit the body a few times, but he he looked dynamic. He looked good. He looked confident. And one of the things that I spoke about prior to the fight is, will he get the UFC nerves, and will he struggle under the bright lights for the first time on a massive event for the UFC, co-headlining a Conor McGregor fight night. But yeah, I was very impressed with Chandler. There were moments actually in that fight where I noticed Chandler kind of just shaking his arms out a couple of times, and I thought to myself, "Oh, is he getting tired? Is he getting this these UFC? I don't know what the word is that they use.
Octagon jitters.
That's it. Yeah, is he getting that?
Yeah.
Is he getting the octagon jitters? And clearly he wasn't. But I felt, oh, is that what's going on here? What did you make of his post-fight promo?
Well, obviously there's a nod to the is that you wouldn't call it a doll? What would you call it? A sports figurine?
That's a
the
figurine.
Ultimate Warrior.
The Ultimate Warrior. Yeah,
it's not a doll. It's a sports collectible figurine.
Yeah. And you bought that a couple of years ago as well, to be fair.
In a nod to that, I'd say he was definitely channeling Royal Rumble '92 era Ric Flair there, wasn't he? I think he even stole a couple of his lines, and it was clearly supremely rehearsed. But that's just he'll probably tell you in his pseudo life coaching type of interview style that was all part of his visualizing the end result by rehearsing it, but you know what, quite likable. I thought he came across respectful, excited, keen to get going again, so hard to dislike Michael Chandler, I think.
Yeah I usually don't like pre-prepared promos like that. The guy that stands out in my memory that tends to get away, or used to get away with it, is Chael Sonnen, because he used to deliver them like a wrestler would deliver them, like directly looking at the mic, looking at the camera, like kind of grabbing the mic away from Joe Rogan, even though Joe Rogan never lets go of the mic. But funnily enough, I actually I don't know whether it was in the post-fight press conference or whether I just heard Ariel Helwani and DC talking about it. I did see it online after the fight, but the reason he did that is because DC said during one of the episodes of the show that he does with Ariel Helwani that this is what China needs to do. He needs to win that fight. He needs to grab that mic, and he needs to call everyone out the same way Ric Flair did. And that's what he did, and it was a nod to those guys. And I was unaware; hadn't seen that episode, and I didn't even know about the Royal Rumble, that it was a Royal Rumble thing, until after I saw it on Twitter and stuff like that. But I didn't actually mind it, man. Like, Michael Chandler, to me, he comes across a bit of a Chad. And what I mean by that is you get those kind of like, those hey, my name's Chad, like those Americans like that they mean well but slightly annoying, and that's what Michael Chandler comes across to me. And there's
he needs a varsity jacket on, doesn't he? He needs to have some kind of varsity.
One of them guys, and they play, like, rather than just having a drink, they'll need to make a game out of it. Like, let's play a drinking game. When no, like, there's a good little bit that what's his name, the Scottish comedian Kevin Bridges does about these kind of characters. But the point I'm trying to make is it kind of, that promo suited him, I suppose, a little bit. He came out draped in the Star Spangled Banner and all of that, and just like, smiling and giving the old woos and like that Americans tend to do. He's just a proper American bloke, to be honest, but he seems like a nice guy. So I'll give him the I'll give him the benefit of doubt on that one. But with regards to kind of Chandler, and we're going to speak about the lightweight division after this, but just quickly want to touch on Hooker, because he left his gloves in the octagon, and I haven't heard anything since. Me
neither.
Yeah, what you make? Where do you think he goes from here, Hooker? Do you think he continues?
I think it's just irritation. I mean, who knows? Until we hear from him, who knows? And I did notice his eagerness to get the tape off his gloves, to get them off while they were coming up with the decision.
Yep.
Take it back a step. What you said before, we don't know how good Michael Chandler is. I think you could say the same about Dan Hooker, and that goes to where he goes from here. Look, he's traded a few wins and losses there. He won a razor close decision against Paul Felder. He lost after a hellacious beating from Edson Barbosa. He lost to Poirier over a 5-round absolute war. So he has looked absolutely amazing a couple of times in losing efforts, but they're still losses. So yeah, I mean, where does he go from here? I think he was thinking with a win here against the new guy with a load of heat on him and attention, I could make an outside play for either one fight away from a title fight or to be in the title fight next. So he must be absolutely distraught knowing the close margins of how close he could have been to that kind of success. I hope he just takes 6 months break or several months break. He said, what's next for Hooker? I hope he just takes a break, especially given the quarantine restrictions over there in New Zealand, where he won't see his family again until I think it's the 21st of Feb.
Yeah.
So go home, heal up, process it, deal with it, and come back stronger, I think is what I would hope for. What about you?
I agree with you. I don't think he's going to be retiring anytime soon. And like you say, I think him just taking his gloves off, it might have even been a moment of anger, frustration of him saying, right, that's it, I'm done with the sport. I'm glad he didn't have an interview with, was it John Anik? Yeah, Anik in the octagon straight after that fight, because he'd just been knocked out. And he may have said something that he didn't actually mean at that time. It did seem like he was taking his gloves off in an attempt to just leave him there to say, I'm walking away from the sport. I don't really say this about a lot of fighters, but I am a little bit concerned about Dan Hooker in terms of just listening to him speak and stuff like that. And I'm no physician, I'm no doctor and whatnot, but I don't know whether he slurs or whether he's always spoken like that. But I am a little bit concerned about just some of the damage he's taken just over the last year or so with the Felder fight and the Poirier fight. And I've never seen him, and I don't know whether this is just because Chandler hits just so hard, or I've never seen him knocked down the way he was by Chandler, on Saturday night. So I don't know whether that's, whether, and he was a kickboxer before this, wasn't he? So, he's been fighting for a long, long time, even though he's relatively, I wouldn't say new in his UFC career, but he hasn't had, 20 fights or whatever. But I don't know, man. I've said.
How was the Poirier fight? How long ago was that? Because, you need time to recover.
That was in June or July, wasn't it? That was that was the first, I think that was the first run of fights on in Vegas. So they went to Fight Island and Vegas after that. I think, I can't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was last year. But yeah, so I don't know, man. But he seems like a nice guy. He seems like a nice guy. Yeah.
And he's coined a new catchphrase, or Charlie Olives.
Yeah. But the way he said
it, biggest contribution.
I got broomsticks bigger than him.
Broomsticks. Yeah, because he had come across in previous interviews, I thought, a little bit prickly and just unnecessarily combative towards people, but he showed quite a lot of charm, I thought, in that press conference there. He was quite funny.
Yeah, so, like when the Nick Pete from BT Sport was kind of mapping out this tournament that he kept talking about all week. I don't know if you watch any of the coverage that BT Sport put together. And when he goes, I didn't even hear what you, I don't even understand what you're on about. Yeah, fuck it, I'm in. that made me laugh, but yeah. But, yeah. All right. So I suppose, like we've been kind of saying, we'll